I believe that every movie adheres to the 29-point story structure. No matter if the writer outlines first or dives in blind, the end product follows the same 29 beats. Get Out is my next exhibit. Following my genre rotation, this is my quote-unquote old horror movie. I'll select something a little older next time this entry cycles around, but for this video, I wanted to highlight that genre norms do not contradict this omnipresent structure. Writer-director Jordan Peele introduced the world to his fright-inducing chops, and Hollywood has been challenged to service the genre better. He did it using the same beats that support modern Hollywood. Let's begin. A tight focus on the core elements of the protagonist's personality, inner conflict, and situation. The faceless terror that could reside behind any white facade. Chris, the most average dude in the entire world, prepares to face that facade, with all the reservation of someone who's faced it plenty before. Where, why, and how the protagonists exist in their world, where they focus on why they don't quite fit in. Rod helpfully touches upon the ubiquitous concerns of being surrounded by white facades, and those concerns are both on display and dispelled as Rose stands up to quote-unquote standard procedure. A singular event that's never happened before, and is destined to lead the protagonist away from their status quo. Chris arrives at the estate. An examination of what's different in light of the something new, what's the same in spite of it in relation to the status quo. Rod's concerns appear to be misplaced as Chris is welcomed into the home by Dean, but the whitewashed personalities of the black help around the Armitage estate strikes Chris as ominous. The discovery that things are less than ideal, or an exploration of how badly things are. Missy is outed for her effective hypnosis and behavior modification skills, and keeps giving Chris this expression. Turns out the whole Armitage clan is inbound for an annual get-together. Characters dedicate their effort to a specified goal, which is smaller in scope than the primary objective of the third act. The underdeveloped facade of a young Armitage shatters the illusion, and Chris understands the amount of quote-unquote doublespeak he's about to endure. A brief checklist of the story elements needed for the second act. Chris's proven understanding of the situation, the camouflage of the white facade, the haunting of his mother's death, and the vulnerability of isolation. The singular event that launches the protagonist into the wild jungle of the second act, also called an oh shit moment. The strange behavior intensifies in the night. Oh shit. Characters must learn all new rules and expectations distinct to this adventure. Chris underestimates Missy, thinking he has the family figured out, but the hypnosis slides in from beneath her voice. Characters showcase their ability to grow in the areas this adventure requires, typically through external means. Missy ensnares Chris's mind, and she lulls him beyond his defenses. And in true horror tradition, the positive progress is given to the antagonist to further stack the deck against our hero. Chris tries to shake it off. Characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. A talk with Walter leaves Chris freaked out, and the mounting evidence suggests everyone is being controlled. An escalation of problems that vex the protagonist. The Armitage clan sees Chris as a fun curiosity rather than a human. He endures quote-unquote polite conversation from the bluntest of backhands, and realizes just how isolated he really is. Characters evolve internally by utilizing everything they've gathered and learned. The only man who can't see the color of Chris's skin regards him as the artist he is. Chris understands the white facade isn't just for white people, and Rose begins to distance herself from his theories. Journey-weary characters reconcile the reality of their ongoing situation with who they were in the first act. Rod returns from the first act and reacts how Chris would have if the roles were reversed. Georgina's facade shakes, and we catch a glimpse of the agony behind her plastered smile. A singular event that strikes at the protagonist's core conflict. Chris accidentally shatters the white facade of a black man, and the terror is on full display. There's no turning back from here. Characters find a safe harbor that also provides needed answers for both external and internal conflicts. Chris is fed the official story for Logan's quote-unquote episode, which is enough to piece together his suspicions of something bigger. Then the Armitage clan hosts a silent auction for Chris. The clarified objective is realized in part or in whole, though it's meaningless without the completion of the primary objective. Rose agrees to leave with Chris, and it looks like he endured the white facade long enough. An existential conflict that wounds the protagonist's sense of self, worldly identity, or their journey. Rod clues Chris in about who Logan really is. Then Chris stumbles onto who Rose really is. And again, in true horror tradition, the antagonist uses the protagonist's progress to stack the bingo card deck further against them. An undeniable win for the protagonist, typically in direct connection to the rebirth. Chris finally uncovers the truth of the Armitage clan's white facade, and how this Stepford slavery mind control thing really works. Rod, Chris's actual win, is the only person on the outside who knows something is wrong. A grand loss directly connected to the character's newfound inability to quit the journey. Rod connects Chris's silence with Dre's disappearance. Chris isn't coming back. At this point in the presentation, Chris knows that too. This is much, much bigger. A thematic freefall tied directly to the heavy price. No one seems to care about a black man who's gone missing. No one. A singular event that robs the protagonist of seemingly any chance of success. It's just Rod on the case, all by his lonesome. Characters cannot return to their starting personas and must turn to face the primary objective. Turns out the white facade also has a voice, and it so easily sabotages Rod's innocence in Chris's disappearance. Characters move towards the climax while utilizing the major swings and sneaky misdirections of the story. Chris is finally shown the bottom of the rabbit hole, the partial lobotomy he's about to undergo. The final confrontation between the protagonist and the antagonistic force. Chris outmaneuvers the Armitage clan and stops the lobotomies with several layers of clever irony. The singular event where the protagonist finally confronts their place in the status quo. Missy, who robs people of their free will, is slaughtered, her evil never again to harm others. The direct aftermath of the climax. The horror tradition of the villain follower coming back for one more death. The consequences of the climax in relation to other characters in the status quo. And the final reveal of where the Armitage grandparents have been hiding all along. A tight focus on the protagonist contrasted from the opening. Her imminent death provokes Rose to shed her facade and give Chris a peek at the evil beneath. Rod, who never gave up on his best friend, delivers Chris to safety. And there you have it. My 14th example to support my argument that all movies follow the exact same story structure, regardless of how the writer approaches their craft. Get Out subverted the target of the plot progress to the villain in several instances, and then altogether held rigidly tight to the 29-point story structure. But does this horror thriller follow the same plot beats? As a prequel-sequel, religio-political, coming-of-age, anti-hero thriller drama? Yes, it arguably does. Next on my docket, Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Please subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos, and please like and comment with your thoughts and reactions. I'll talk to you next time.